Hey, Karlie, thanks a lot for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
This is the Karen Mitches podcast, and this is Karlie Laverty.
Hello.
Did I say your name wrong?
No, Karlie Laverty, yeah.
Like it's a V.
Yes. And the T, I would say, sounds more like a D.
Laverty.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Which is general T's tend to be D's.
Yeah, maybe. I never thought of it, but maybe, yeah. You know, this is my first podcast.
Amazing.
Yeah. I'm a little I've always been nervous to go on podcasts.
Why? But you do stand up.
Yeah, but the podcast, it's like they live forever, and I have no control over it, and none of it's pre-written. Like, I would like to think I come off as if I didn't write the stand-up before, but I 100% did.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I think, you know when you leave a situation, you're like, why did I fucking say that?
Yeah, it's
and
dead.
Now it's on
done.
Camera.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yep.
And I feel like I'm going to listen back to this, and I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to be like, who even was that person?
Yeah. It's kind of weird because I record an hour with everyone, and I always have parts in it where I'm like, why did I say that? That's annoying. But I'm too lazy to edit it.
Yeah.
You can't just cut everything up, so I just have to accept that it's messy and it lives forever.
Yeah. Also, I just don't have a lot of strong opinions on anything. Like, I could be persuaded, you know? So I don't want to be on podcast. They're like, on episode 58, you said that squirrels don't deserve rights. I'm like, did I say that? I guess I meant it at the time, but yeah.
And it is kind of the whole thing with podcasts for people to just have strong opinions and just say things definitively. It makes for a good clip.
Sorry, no clips out of me. I ride the middle throughout everything.
And do you think that served you well?
I think I'm just very chill. No, but I'm just not argumentative. I just don't have strong opinions on anything. I have opinions, but I'm willing to be wrong.
I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah? Do you
Where
think
are you from?
I'm from Woodbridge. Yeah.
Which is Woodbridge in Toronto?
So it's just outside of Toronto. So it's where Wonderland is.
Nice.
Which I worked there for 5 years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What ages were you working there?
Oh, so it was my first job. So 17. I can't do the math.
Yeah,
whatever.
That sounds like a dream.
It was.
Like, was it hard to get in?
No. Easy. Don't let anyone into that
place. You just showed up.
Yeah.
That sounds like what you want to do when you're young.
Well, it's just perfect. Like, it's just lucky because I live right there. But actually, a lot of people who worked at Wonderland didn't live in the area. It was a lot of people from, like, Brampton, Barrie, Whitby, Oshawa.
And so you just make friends with all these young people.
Yeah, because you see them more than your family. I was there. They're 12-hour shifts.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and you only have 2 days off. But it's not, like, set every single week like a normal job is. It's like you could have a Monday this week and your next day off is like Wednesday the next.
Okay, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they're trying to breed some kind of mentality within you guys.
Yeah. Luckily, like, it was fun and there were parties and, like, it was like camp.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That sounds way better than anything I did when I was young.
Yeah. You make a lot of money too because you're there so much.
What were your actual roles in the park?
So I did the rides. So I was a ride operator.
What the fuck?
I loved it. I wish I could work there now. Like, if I could get paid a good wage, I would probably never leave.
Yeah. So what actual rides?
So because I was there so long, I've worked every ride in the park. But you actually get like a set ride for the season. So for instance, like my first one was Windseeker and Skyrider, which is the one where you stand up, but it's dead now.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you have a crew, and then you're there all season long, the same people, the same rides, every day is the same. Yeah.
Amazing. What was your favorite ride? Or what was the scariest ride that you were in charge of?
The scariest ride that I was in charge of, like, I really would say Windseeker because it's just so tall, and I hate heights, and you have to test ride them in the morning. So it's just me alone on the Windseeker.
No.
Yeah, because they think that you can, like, hear the sounds. Like I'm some engineer.
That's crazy. Yeah. That sounds very dangerous.
Yeah.
But also because when you got here, before we were recording, You mentioned that you're afraid of flying.
Yeah.
So were you comfortable?
No, but you can't say no.
Shit.
Yeah, because if you say no, then they'll move you to a different ride, and at that point you've already made your friends. Like, you don't want to seem like...
That's like a good kind of way to learn to, like a sink or swim. I want this bad enough, I'll suck it up.
But you said you were scared of heights and you would not like it.
Like, I guess I've had phases in my life when I was good with roller coasters because I sort of like built up to being better at stuff. So I think when I wouldn't have been at 17 because I got mentally less well as I went on in my teens. Yeah.
Oh my God. No, but the thing too is when you're test riding it, I think there's comfort on a regular day because it's you and a bunch of other people. But when you're test riding it, it's just you up there.
And it might be kind of like a shitty overcast day and you're in a bad mood and they're like, welcome to work, get on the ride.
Actually, that is how it is. Because people would be like, oh my God, you get to work at Wonderland, you get to ride the rides whenever you want. Like, that's so amazing. But the truth is that, like, a lot of us are just hungover from the night before and you stuck us on the ride and we're like, oh my God.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah. It's like, here we go.
So was there just like constant drama at the park?
Constant drama. It was incredible.
Were you in it for the drama?
Yes, I was in it for the drama, but I wasn't in the drama.
So you weren't causing drama?
No.
But were you reporting it?
Yeah, definitely reporting it.
Oh my gosh. Like, this is the most jealous I've ever been of anyone's job ever.
It was incredible because we would have parties, as I said, and then obviously like it's a bunch of young girls, young guys, young whoever, and a lot of them are fucking each other, and then they come back and then they're like, I thought we were together, but he was seen with Jessica. It is amazing.
That sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, there's no greater time in your life when you're young and, like, the biggest thing going on is just other people's relationship drama.
Other people's business. I never grew out of that. I'm very much in it. The comedy scene is a little bit like that.
It is.
Yeah. And just like Wonderland, like, I like to I love to hear it and I love to not be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's, like, Margaret Atwood has a whole thing about how, it's her or some other famous actor that like a writer has to have like a boring life for themselves, even though they're like spinning tales of like drama. And I think so? Comedy is sort of like, you are a writer, right? You don't want to be so busy being dramatic. Although, I don't know.
See, I've heard the opposite. I've heard someone say this where they were like, oh, you won't, not me specifically, but like someone wouldn't be a good comedian because they don't have life stories to take from.
I guess anyone,
You have to live a life.
Yeah. But even if you live a small life, I think as long as you failed at anything, that's a story.
Yeah.
And real writers can probably have... Like, somebody who's a really good storyteller can just have a long line at the bank and they'll weave a yarn about it.
Yes.
Whereas, like, a bad storyteller will get cheated on and halfway through telling you, you're like, shut up, this is boring.
Yeah, actually, I feel that way with comedy because, like, I don't know that I do a lot of storytelling sets because I watch a lot of comedy like we do from open mics, and then I notice that a lot of people will just tell the story and they think the story is funny, so they don't need to punch it up.
Yeah.
But they really need punchlines in there.
I think people get confused about what stand-up is, and they think it's telling an anecdote, or they think it's like, it's philosophy, it's my opinions on the world. And I can't even tell some of my opinions because they don't punch well. So I'll start talking about something, but then I'll make 0 points or I'll make a fake point because I can't say, it's not like writing an essay where it makes sense. Like, you have to be hitting these punchlines.
Yeah.
And I think if you want to know if you can do stand-up, you just have to do write 10
Premises?
jokes.
Yeah.
Here's a premise, here's the punchline. Read them out loud. If you can make people laugh on 3 of them and the process of them not laughing at the other 7 doesn't ruin your soul, then you can be a stand-up.
Yes, that is actually amazing. Yeah, to think about you trying something and not getting so hurt of failing. I'm the opposite. I honestly think if I didn't, because I started with Second City classes, and if I didn't have like that support group, I A, wouldn't have done it, and B, like if I had failed the first time, because luckily like it did go well the first time, I would not have continued. I would definitely have stopped right there.
So I also had that introduction through Second City, but I think how I got into this stand-up class, why I had the confidence to take it, was because in the sketch writing class, I'd had the experience of like describing my blackouts, which are a really brief scene. So it's like telling a bunch of jokes to your class, and people laughed at a few of them, and I was like, okay, I can. It was the baby step towards taking that class, which I still didn't think I'd be that good at. But you have so many weeks to work on it and get advice and prepare, and then by the time I did the final thing, I actually could do stand-up fairly well. And I was like, okay.
And you had your type 5.
Yeah.
Did you go straight to an open mic by yourself? Like, did you wait till you had the type 5 and you went all in a group?
My buddies from the group got us all together to go, but it was I think I did my class performance on a Sunday, and then we went to the mic on the Thursday.
Yeah, see, we did a similar thing, but I remember, like, one girl in our group, she wrote everyone's name down without telling us, like, at the mic before we were ready. Like, it was at Nothing Fancy, the original one, with Mark Hallworth.
What?
And I didn't go up, because I didn't consent. And then Mark Hallworth was like, fuck that guy. And then I, like, got my big pants on, and the next week I signed up myself, and then I did it.
So to explain, Hallworth hosts a lot of mics, and there's always people who sign up and they don't show up. It's usually because they're a comic doing like 6 mics in a night, and they squeeze them in too close. So he'll read your name, and if you're not there, the whole audience yells, "Fuck that guy!"
Shout out to Mark Hallworth. Love him. Truly, I think about this a lot, where it's like where you first do your first open mic could change your whole trajectory.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just so happy and lucky and blessed that it happened to be Nothing Fancy with Mark, like with no prior information.
Because Mark is
warm,
like who you think of as hosting, like he would be like running a kid's summer camp. Like he has endless positivity, kindness.
Yeah. Like he creates like a warm, safe room. Whereas like if I went to some other mic, they could have made fun of me the entire time. I would have never came back.
Yeah, I went to Keys. And like it was so many dudes in that room, and I felt very uncomfortable, and I showed up before the guy friends I was meeting, so I thought I was gonna get murdered. But then I made it through that mic, and Key liked me, and he invited me to come do a set that weekend. So I was like, it was like a little kid catching a fish the first time, and being like, I'm a fisherman.
See, but do you think if it had gone poorly that you would have continued?
I can't say.
Yeah, see, some people, like, it doesn't matter, but to me, I need positive reinforcement, or else I'm just like, it's not meant to be.
Yeah.
But amazing that Keys was your first one. Did you guys just Google Comedy Club?
Yes. That's literally how we ended up at Keys.
That's actually amazing. No, I think Keys is also, I like intimate places. I love the lab. I don't know if you would count as necessarily intimate, but I love it when there's not really a stage and like you're on the same playing ground as like the audience.
Yeah, see, those rooms kind of intimidated me at first because I think there's something magical when you step onto a stage and then you feel like you're a performer and like the audience is an audience. Like it's almost harder, I think, to get it going for me when it's that.
Yeah.
But that intimate venue, I think, is the best learning experience for understanding how to connect with the audience.
Yeah. Are you big on the lights? Because I'm big on the stage lights. Like, some people like it when it's so bright that you can't see the audience. Some people like it where you can see their faces.
I like to be able to see them.
Me too.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like, it's just easier to, because you're supposed to, if the lights are up, you have to kind of pretend you can see people, which is hard to do. Like I don't know if I'm staring in a weird way that makes the audience feel like I'm not connecting.
Well, because you don't even know what you're staring at.
Yeah. And even though I don't do a lot of crowd work, I do like to maybe a little bit.
Well, I want the option, and I like to see, like, if it's hitting, like, you know, not at every point is it like a punchline, so they're not laughing at every point, but like, are they at least smiling? Like, do they look like they're having a good time?
Yeah, and if something weird happens in the room, you want to tie it into the event. But if the lights are really bright, you literally don't know what happened. You're like, noises happen.
I know. And like, if the light's so bright, it's like just talking into the void. Like, why would I the reason I came here is for the audience. If I wanted to do this, I would just like speak into my bathroom mirror.
Yeah.
But actually, bright lights like that, they used to make me blank.
Oh no.
Yeah, so what I started to do was when I was at home, I would put the flashlight of my iPhone in my eye, and I'd be like, set up punchline on. Because I couldn't take it. Like, SoCap is really bright, Cameron House was really bright, and I would just blank. Especially, like, if I happened to not get a laugh, I'm like, oh god, what's even happening?
So did you have bombs where you just didn't know your material?
Yes, yeah. Luckily, I haven't blanked in too long. I think because I've let go of control and I've gotten a little more confident. In the beginning, I was very like, this is what I wrote and this is what I'm saying, and there's nothing I could say now that could be better than what I wrote at the with a clear head.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like that anymore, and I've just chilled out, and I don't care as much. I still care, but.
Did you have a performance background like in your childhood?
No, I really wanted to. Like, I really wanted to be an actress. I really wanted to do all of that, but I just ultimately was too shy, and I let it cripple me, and I didn't do any of it. And then, well, I did dance, but I didn't do any acting or anything like that because I just couldn't. I don't think I could have taken the rejection at the time.
Were you a shy kid in general?
In the beginning, I wasn't. Like, I was so outgoing. Like, as I said, I did dance. I was like, I'm a star. I'm going to be a star. And then something happened, especially high school, or like maybe even middle of elementary school, where I just like really went into my shell. I can't even think of like a triggering event, but I just went into my shell, and I just like lost confidence in myself, and in like, if I thought I had any talent, that was like now gone. And then now I kind of like found it again, so I'm kind of middle, and I think I would give it a try now. But yeah, like, I don't know, I was shy.
I feel like that's a common experience, like that. I don't know if it's women or people, but that you have this like childhood personality, and then there's like, I think it's everyone. I think it's part of growing up that you realize. You become conscientious, and then you freak out, close off, and then you have to like grow yourself out again.
That's probably true, because you just realize other people are looking.
Yeah.
And they're judging. Yeah. And I don't even think it was necessarily like their judgments were bad towards me, but I think I'm an overthinker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which I think was like the best thing to be, as an overthinker who learns how to not think too much.
Yeah.
Because you know all this stuff from thinking a lot, but now you're turning it off.
Exactly. I'm actually really happy now, because like before I was just, as I said, I was so shy, and I was like, I cared so much what other people think, and I've just happened to, now that I've gotten older, like I found this happy medium where I kind of don't care anymore, and like it's freeing to go back to prepubescent Karlie in the adult Karlie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think now, like, I would be willing to, like, or I would love to like act and do other artsy things. But I feel like I've missed the bus. I feel like if you don't get into that kind of thing when you're younger.
Yeah, I know there's a thing, like, I read this thing with the way Hollywood unions work. It's really hard to get someone into a union. So when someone is a child, you'll do the work because you don't have people with experience. But once you're casting adults, it's just always easier to get somebody who got into the union already. So the people who have the easiest time making it in Hollywood are people who did any kind of acting as a child. Even if your mom just took you to some auditions for, like, got you into some commercials. Yeah. That's where like a bulk of like those people come from. And then when you're Canadian, there's like a double layer where you're not in the union, and you're also not legal to work in their country yet.
True. Actually, now that you mention it, I did do auditions for a little bit, like for 6 months when I was a kid, because my mom like met someone who was an agent or something. So I got to do like commercial auditions.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But then I stopped again because I didn't get chosen, and I was just like, well, then I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
I did the same thing with an audition for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in grade 3, where I was like, I auditioned for the one who was like, for Violet, the one who's like, I chew and chew and chew, and also for the one who was like Daddy's girl or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was like, that was incredible, Oscar-worthy performance.
Yeah.
But I was ultimately, well, probably not that good, but also too young. So
Yeah.
then they were like, okay, you're gonna be Oompa Loompa number 4. And I'm like, the fuck I am?
Oh no.
I'm off for only, goodbye. And then I just
no.
didn't act again.
But you were, how old were you?
Grade 3.
Yeah. That's not, there's people who are, young adults who don't have the right mindset yet, so you can't really expect to have it when you're little.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. As much as I think it's really hard to get into that industry, I think if you want to do it, I think you can find a way to do it, especially now that people make so much of their own stuff, and you can like get your own audience through stand-up.
Were you a big star kid?
So I always wanted to do acting, and I would have gone on auditions if my parents had taken me. The biggest opportunity I had was just that my mom let me do theater lessons. So when I was like 10 through 13, I was taking acting classes, and I was, getting into like plays and this kind of stuff. And then the thing that set me back was just when I got into high school, I just wanted to hang out with my friends all the time. So, and I had this idea like, well, I love dance and I love drama, but I'm not going to do those things as a job. So then I didn't even do them as a hobby.
Yeah.
And a lot of girls just take dance lessons through high school. And I was like, well, that's a waste. And then it kind of was a lot of my life problems compounding. And it was like, giving up hobbies, just having my friends as my only hobby, and part of my descent into substance abuse.
Oh no.
So now, like, when I talk to people about their hobbies, I'm just like, yes, do it. Like 100%. That's who you are.
Yeah.
That's what you love. Like,
I think a lot of girls, not to speak for all girls, but like a common theme is that we don't have hobbies, and that guys have all these hobbies. But it's just like, whatever. Who has the time? We do comedy. We work. Like, sorry I didn't find time today to sculpt. I went to sleep. I don't understand. It's just, but then guys, like, they golf and they're like, hard day at the office. Stop.
And some people have a deep hobby because they're antisocial. So they're like hiding from that aspect of their life, which, I mean, if you can't socialize right now, learn to play guitar. But it's better if you can be getting out into the world.
But I don't know why my thought was never, hey, let's make a hobby out of my shyness. Instead, it was, let's watch a movie and escape and pretend I'm them.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of my life was watching movies and talking to other people about movies.
Yeah. It's just an amazing conversation starter. That's also why I'm into astrology.
Yes.
Because it just gives me something to cling on to when I'm making small talk.
And people get upset about astrology because they're like, well, that's not real. And I'm like, it works.
What is real?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think astrology is just a lot of fun. And I know, like, I might get hate. Like, maybe they're like, oh, you're so dumb. But ultimately, first impression, I don't think those people would have looked at me and been like, she's known for her intelligence. Like, the only one I'm losing from being into astrology were just non-believers in the first place. People who did not think I was overly smart.
Yeah. I don't know. One of the smartest people I ever met was like, he's one of those guys who made other people who were smart think they weren't smart because he like read the Lord of the Rings trilogy in like the 2nd grade.
Yeah.
And he was, when we were in high school together, he was acing all the physics classes. But he has like a passion about mythology, and he knows a lot about astrology.
Yeah.
And I would just have like hours long conversations with him about astrology. And it always cemented for me, like, people who think they're too smart for astrology are just stuck up.
Yeah. No, it's true. And honestly, as soon as you look into it, every single time I'll find someone who's like, I'm not into that. And I'll show them their chart and they'll be like, that actually is pretty accurate. you know? And people like to be like, oh, it's vague. That would have fit anyone. But it's not. It's very specific, actually.
And there's something about it where it's like, it's a format to discuss yourself and all these dimensions to yourself that I never thought of. But then, like they have a planet for every, like, aspect of yourself. So, like, how you feel in work and revenge is, like, Mars, right?
Yep.
And it's interesting to start to just analyze yourself in more dimensions than saying, like, I'm aggressive or I'm shy.
Yeah, exactly. There's like a distance to it. It's like you can talk about yourself and I can talk about myself, but it's not so personal and vulnerable because it's like, no, that's the sun. Wait, do you know your big three?
My big three, yeah. So
is it Earth? Anything?
Yes.
Yeah, you're giving Earth.
So my sun sign is Virgo, my moon sign is Libra, and my ascending is Sagittarius.
Ooh, okay. Good mix. You got earth, air, and fire.
So what are your big three?
Okay, I'm also a Virgo.
Yes.
Yay. Two Virgos just finding each other. I'm a Leo moon, and I'm a Capricorn rising.
Okay, so the sun in Virgo makes you, like, analytical.
Yeah.
But also earth oriented.
Yeah. I think
grounded.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. I'm happy that we have earth, or I'm happy to have earth, because although I know it might make you a little boring, it's good to be grounded, because I have so much Leo, and that's the part that's like, I'm a star.
So Zendaya and Taylor Swift are Virgo, right?
I don't think Taylor Swift is a Virgo, but Zendaya is.
Oh, am I lying about Taylor Swift?
Taylor Swift is Sag.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Zendaya is a Virgo.
Wait,
so
we're gonna get crucified. Not me knowing Taylor Swift's zodiac sign off the top of my head. We're not winning any Nobel Prizes.
No. But I want to go through your big three. So that's the Virgo part. And then your moon sign, you said, is Leo. And so the moon sign deals with your emotions, your connection to your mother. Is it sense of justice? No,
I don't think so.
No, it's only for me because I'm Libra, so mine is just.
Moon is very emotional. It's who you are. Like, it's how you feel emotionally safe, and it's who you are when you're alone.
So what does it mean when you have a Leo moon?
So a Leo moon is exhausting. Because it just wants attention and adoration, like, all the time. And I also have it in Venus and Mars, which is also the love sign. So essentially, like, if you're not obsessed with me, you have to go. You have no place here. No openings for you.
That's amazing. And then your rising sign is Capricorn.
Yes.
And Capricorn has...
So Capricorn is Saturn ruled. So essentially, like, when you have your ascendant, that is the chart ruler. So, so for instance, Capricorn is run by Saturn, so I'm Saturn ruled, which is not fun because Saturn is like CEO daddy.
Yeah, like, because what I think of is like Virgo and Capricorn is like mommy and daddy. Capricorn is sometimes like, does it connect to the devil at all? Like,
yeah, the tarot card that is connected to Capricorn is the devil.
Yeah, but it's like, it's also like being, yeah,
but essentially, so I
good with money and focused on success, and like you would get everything paid for, like you're the daddy boss.
Yeah. No, but what I would say is that there's a lot of like consequences. So if I do anything wrong, or something that I knew was morally gray, I'll get punished for it immediately. Whereas like someone else might like get a little leeway, or they can be mischievous and they can get away with it. Like, if I don't pay my fare, I'm getting a ticket. Like, there's no...
That's amazing. Yeah. So do you really think, because I kind of think, like, do you think some of that is like within yourself, that you create those consequences, or do you think it really is outside of you?
See, I don't know. I know. I'm like about to say, I don't know if I believe in astrology while I like yap on about it like an expert. I'm not an expert at all. But I would like to believe in it. And it's more so that I just think I'm able to tell. I was able to tell that you're an earth sign before you even like really said too much or before you confirmed it. And so I just feel like I see it in real life.
Yeah.
And yeah, you could make the case that maybe because I know that, or I've been told that that's how it's gonna go, that I can now like notice the pattern.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, is it the chicken or the egg? But
yeah, I still love thinking about it in that context.
Yeah.
Like even the so mine is the Virgo sun, and then the Libra moon gives you like on an emotional level you have like a need for like balance
Yeah.
in things, which makes sense to me. And then Sagittarius rising, like I think Kim Kardashian is
a
a
lot
Sag.
of pop stars are Sag.
Yeah.
A lot of celebrities are Sag.
It's like the be a star thing. And I always thought my performer side didn't mesh with my other side, and at times I've just like completely put it down and forgotten about it. And then it kind of makes sense to be somebody who's Virgo and Libra, and you kind of like oriented towards that a lot, and then forgot about this big part of yourself.
Well, Sag is really interesting because they need to be free. Like they cannot be chained down. They want to go explore. This is what it says, at least, you know. But do you feel that way, or does your earth ground you enough?
I feel like my earth has like hindered me, and I've had like tons of issues around like fear and anxiety.
Yeah.
And so then I've been really imbalanced, and sometimes it's hard for me to talk to people who deal with anxiety because they're like, but you're not anxious, because I'll veer and be the exact opposite.
Yeah. No, I relate to you so much in saying that, because I also am jealous of anyone who doesn't have earth, because earth is exactly that. It's worrying, it's anxiety, it's boring, it's like the mom of the group. It's like, do you think anyone wants this lot in life? No. I would love to be the fun air sign, the fun fire sign who just like destroys and has fun.
Yeah.
I'm like, what about tomorrow?
Yeah. Who do you think has the most fun? Just fire?
Fire and air. Yeah. Just because there's a carelessness. Like there's a being in the present moment with them. They're mostly outgoing. They can hold great conversations.
I think the people I'm envious of the most they're not too crazy, but they're sort of like open and chill.
Yeah.
Like I'd like to be open for things and also able to let go of things, because I feel like sometimes like I can like retreat from things, and then when I start trying to do something, then I try doing it too hard and with too much control, and I'm like, some people just have like much more fluidity in how they go about things. Oh my
God, I relate to you so much. It's because we're both earth and fire, and those two things, it's like the moment I want to have fun, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And then it gets a little too wild, and I'm like, wait, I'm a little too smart for this, I think. Yeah. But do you have any water in your chart?
I do, but I think I'm low on it.
Because I don't have any.
I have Scorpio Mars.
Ooh, dangerous.
Yeah.
Passionate.
And Mars is like work and revenge and
sex.
Like and then to have Scorpio for that, which is like ocean current strength.
Yeah.
But also under the surface, so it's Scorpio, everything is considered crazy.
I don't know that I think it gets a bad rap. I love Scorpio because it's like, it's intense, it's passionate, I want to wear your skin as a jacket. I really like it. And I like it when people are obsessed with me, so I really like it. But no, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's just really intense, and it's and yeah, exactly what you were saying, where it likes the taboo of life.
Yeah.
It's not afraid to get dark. Like
if you've had a goth phase, or you always thought maybe I could be a goth, you probably have some Scorpio.
Probably. No, I love it. It's very like, let's investigate.
Do you have water in your chart?
No, I don't have any water.
Oh my God.
And I think that's difficult.
Do you have a bit in your stand-up that you talk about being type A?
No, not being a maybe. I'm not sure.
Maybe you just talk about being an attention-oriented person, and I confused that.
Maybe. But I do have a bit about being, like, unemotional, and I do feel that way. Like, it's really hard for me to, like, get in touch with my emotions, or even to cry. I'm like, let's go.
I feel that a bit. And it's like, I don't know. Explain it more, though, like how it might come about in your life.
Well, I think that I just don't feel things as deeply as I would like to. So it's like I know that I should feel it deeply. Like I logically get that. I'm logical, but I don't feel it. Like I don't feel my feelings as much as I should. But not in I'm a psychopath way.
Yeah.
But like
but there's a thing, like I think I started getting it when I was first on TikTok, and it's the thing that's out in the ether, and it's like you can't think your feelings, you have to feel them.
Yeah.
So if you're upset about something, and then I related to it, I was like, oh, I do this. Like say you get dumped, so you're like, but it's not the end of the world, and you sort of
you rationalize it.
you rationalize everything, but that can't help you get over anything, because you have to actually like experience the emotion to let it pass. So then you are sad, you have an emotion, but you're not feeling it, you're thinking it, so it's affecting your life while you try to do other shit.
Perfect. That's me to a T. 100%. Like you just try to think your way over it, but then I just explode at really inopportune times. So it's like I'm good, and I'm like bawling my eyes out at work because like you accidentally bumped into me or something.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's just a lack of control over emotion. You're right. I feel it, but I don't feel it enough. Or at the right time.
Yeah. And you work as a nurse. So
see, but I actually think my lack of water is good for nursing. Because who does it help if, like, you know, you've gotten bad news and I'm here crying with you? Maybe that would help a little bit, but I don't know. I think it helps me create boundaries and, like, not take it home with me.
Yeah. And there are people, and it's surprising, who can't sort of rise above their emotions. And you would think in an emergency everyone would pick their feet up. Yeah. But some people don't. Yeah. And it's bonkers.
Yeah, but I am also jealous of people who can really feel their feelings and are very like emotional and like will cry, and like especially like if you're going through a hard time, it's like they'll be there for you 100%. They'll cry with you. They say the right thing. I don't feel like I say the right thing.
Yeah, because I'll be like, I know I need to say something back, so I'll say something like clever or something like.
Yeah, you make a joke out of it.
Yeah, or just like, oh, you know what's interesting about grieving? And it's like, don't tell me something interesting.
Like, I heard a fun fact. Actually, wait, I did do that. I did that. This is just like, this triggered a bad memory in me. Basically, I was in the car with this girl. Her grandma had just died, and she told me that it happened like while she was on the toilet. And instead of being like, that's so sad, I'm so sorry, I was like, I heard actually a lot of people die on the toilet because like their vagus nerve, like they're straining. Is this the time? Like, who is that helping? So I would love water for that.
Yes. Okay, so do you think some of what makes you good, like this lack of water and that being good as a nurse, makes you good at stand-up?
I don't know. Well, thank you for saying I'm good at stand-up. Slid that in there. I think you're great as well. I think the not feeling the feelings, and because it's just so logical that it's like I make a joke out of it. So it's that if I'm making a joke out of it, I might as well perform the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually think me on stage might be the most vulnerable or real that you're probably going to get out of me, because it's under the guise of a joke.
Yeah. And as much as I find, like, I struggle to make a point when I'm doing stand-up because I have to get a punchline, it does get me to just bring things up and sort of, like, be near them and put them out there. Yeah. Like, I talk about my sister's, like, kidney transplant, which is like one of the deepest parts of my life. It's hard to say anything about it that isn't almost superficial because it's hard to get the depth of it. And sometimes like to joke about it is maybe the best way I can share it with people.
But I love that. Like my favorite comedians are autobiographical and like talking about themselves, and it's real and it's true. We have this discussion a lot with people like, because I don't know how to write comedy that's not about myself. And at first I was like slightly insecure about that because I was like, other people can do observational comedy and they're writing about the airport and it's like killing and they're distant from it and they're not giving their intestines to the crowd.
Yeah.
But I just can't do that. But I appreciate the vulnerability and the true in other comedians.
Yeah. Like for me, I guess I do observational, and then I was later putting stories in, but I feel like you don't have to do it. Like Anthony Jeselnik doesn't do it.
Yeah,
he does
so
just
great.
like punchline, like he's insane.
Yeah.
But he would never be my favorite comedian. Like, and there's, I don't know, I need someone to tell me like their facts about their life.
Yeah.
And it just helps me. I feel like that's what a big part of the art form for me.
Yeah. I think I'm just, I don't know if it's that I think this is the way you should do it, or it's just that's the only way I can do it.
Yeah. That is, I also do think like I just kind of did it the way I did it, and I also don't think I could do it differently.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's also, quirky observational comics, and I love their comedy, and they do just fine. And I get jealous because I'm like, wow, how did they think that? Like, they see a situation, and they just thought of a completely different side to it. And I think that's a talent.
And there's some, like, okay, Seinfeld, well, I guess he had a whole show about himself, but his observational humor is very rooted in himself.
Yeah.
Right? So it feels like, even though he's not telling you, like, about what's going on in his life, I feel like he's telling you, like, he loves complaining and he's very neurotic, and you feel who he is.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know his comedy too much. This is actually a sad fact. I haven't really watched that much Seinfeld.
That's okay. I feel like if it wasn't part of your generation, like, you're not obligated to go watch everything that came before you.
Yeah.
But, like, what are some of the older stuff that you have dug into?
Well, we were talking about I love Sex and the City.
Amazing.
I feel like this podcast is just me being the basic bitch.
But you know what? I had like so many guys on this show, and a lot of them said like classic man podcast nonsense. Yeah. So you're like definitely allowed to like come in and just like bring some like,
yeah, let's potpourri the place.
Yes.
No, I love it. I love Sex and the City. I was watching it during the pandemic, and it's just like female friendship, and it was like cutting edge. And it's just so nice.
Okay, so I'm interested though, because I was watching it as it was airing, and I've seen a little bit post, but not recently. How is it holding up?
Okay, people love to say that it's not holding up and that like there are some bad takes. Some of it didn't age well, but I take critique with that because now in the new series, because they have one now present day that they're older, they've like tried to diversify, and like you can tell that they're trying to right their wrongs, and it's like, can we just get to the plot? Like, stick to the 4 girls. They've added in all these new characters, and so like do I think like every take that they've ever said was in great taste? No, but you can also, you're watching a show from the 90s,
and I think the thing too, even when it was airing, it was always off in some ways. Like, it was about New York, but it was written for people who don't live in New York. And so people would be like, this isn't realistic, that isn't. And that was part of the show. It's always been a show to just get you talking about stuff.
Yeah, well, it also follows, and they're honest about the fact that it follows, like, an elite group of girls in Manhattan. Like, it's not your typical everyday New York story. But I actually think, I wish, and maybe they are, maybe I'm speaking without thinking, but I wish more media today was just like one specific life story without trying to hit all the beats of everything. Yeah,
because I think a story just has to have like something real in it, like a real person. And even if you hate that person and that person's a bit of a racist, like you can talk, like you can still watch them, and then you can acknowledge, like, you know who's a piece of shit? This lady. Yeah. But it's still fun and interesting to watch her go along, and the audience can bring their deeper levels of intellect or compassion.
Like, Carrie gets a lot of hate. Like, people love to hate on Carrie as the character, the main character, and the decision she makes, and they're like, she's so dumb, she's so self-absorbed, and it's like, we're not supposed to like her. Like, she's supposed to get the plot moving.
Yeah, and the mistakes she's making aren't unrealistic.
No, we've all done that.
Yeah,
we've all like,
it's the realm. If you kind of like list a bunch of like garbage nonsense you did in your 20s, could one person have done a bunch of this? Yeah, like, let's write her.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I just think, people now like to be like, oh, Carrie's this, Carrie's that. Like, she's not perfect. But it's like, that's the point. None of us are, and I wouldn't like it if she was.
Did you watch Bridesmaids?
Yeah, I did, and I actually just rewatched it recently.
Amazing. So I just saw something, and it was talking about the lead character in that and how it took them a long time to write the screenplay because they didn't know who she was. Mm-hmm. And then they finally came to this conclusion that her big thing was, like, she doesn't, like, own her shit. Mm-hmm. And so she's blaming others, or she thinks...
Yeah. Lack of accountability.
Yes. So that's what they wrote her as, like, around this kind of flaw, and it grounded her, and it gives the direction and the comedy of that story. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's so good, and where sometimes people fuck up with female characters because they're trying to write someone who other women will like.
Yeah.
And because women care about people being nice and being good people, they'll write a morally phony character who's just like, she's always good and she does the right thing and she cares about, and nobody likes that person.
No, and it's not real. Yeah I think that's what I like about that movie. That's what I like about Girls, like, is that Hannah is off her rocker.
Oh my god,
as she should be. Girls
is my jam.
There was
there was a point in the pandemic when I was never not watching Girls. Like, I'd been staying at my sister's place in the suburbs, and then I came back here to downtown Toronto. I was alone, and I wasn't doing well, so I just always had it on. Like, I'd be working at my desk, and I'd have it playing on my phone. Like, I would watch it. It was there while I was going to bed. Like, it was always on.
Girls. And, like, when I first watched it, I was in beginning of high school, and I remember watching it, and I was thinking, like, that everyone's miserable. I don't like this show. Like, I tried it, and I was like, no, why would I want to watch this show? And then I watched it when I was a struggling 20 years old, unemployed, and I was like, I've never related to something more in my life. And it was the hardest look in the mirror I've ever taken.
See, for me, I'd already, like, I'm trying to think of how old I was when that came out. I think it might have come out when I was in my 30s. And so it was, like, a look back on my 20s. Yeah. And it was fucking accurate.
It is so accurate. It's not always
and then
rainbows.
One of the things that pisses me off a lot, because there's a good conversation about nepotism that's happening, and that people have talked about Girls in that context, and I totally agree. Like, people get too much because they're born into rich families and other people need opportunities, but how much Lena Dunham gets shit on for like, oh, anyone could do that if they had her family background, or like, I don't think so, man. I think there's a lot of rich, well-connected people who didn't write my favorite fucking TV show.
Wait, this is how I find out Lena Dunham's a Nepo baby?
So her mom is a famous photographer, and her dad is some kind of artist as well. So she would have been, like, growing up in, I think, New York City, and going to, like, a performing arts school, and then went to Oberlin. And
so, has privilege. Not that connected, though.
Yeah, and then I think then there were more Nepo stuff around who she hired. So Shoshana is played by David Mamet's daughter.
Yeah.
And
Marnie, I know, is the daughter of a newscaster.
Yes.
But could the newscaster have gotten her on an HBO show? I don't know.
Yeah. So I feel like in general there are less opportunities for people who aren't connected, because they get taken up so much by people who are connected. And there's certain navigational skills you get from being able to ask your friend's dad what it's like to work in an industry. So, like, it's not that criticism isn't true, but I hate when people want to, like, negate a writer I like, or an actor I like, or a property that I'm obsessed with, because they're like, well, there's unfairness here. And I'm like, I don't care.
At the end of the day, they are talented, and, like, you can't take that away from them.
Yeah.
I do think that they get the chance to explore that talent more because they have, like, backing and free time, and, like, they don't have to work 2 jobs, so they're able to, like, write that book, you know?
Yeah. And I think there's a lot, like, I like the moment that I came into stand-up, because I think the Me Too movement did all this, like, criticism of, like, sexism, racism, and that kind of stuff. And then before like by the time we got here, I feel like people had made it more chill. So that I'm not really sure how to explain it. Like that critique led to people like creating an environment where more types of people are welcome.
Don't totally get what you mean.
Like if no one had ever said stand up has too many dudes and it's sexist, then like there by the time like when I got into stand up, it wouldn't have been as like friendly and fun as it was.
Yeah. I do know that when I talk to other stand up comedians, they say like even just like a couple of years ago, like it was still very much like a boys club and all that stuff. And I think I noticed that. When did you start comedy?
So I'm a year and a half in, so the beginning of 2023.
Yeah, I'm a year and a half in as well. And I think I noticed that like a whole bunch of other girls are a year and a half in. Like we all happened to start at the same time. And I just love that.
Yeah. And I don't know why exactly that, like it feels like a critical mass kind of happened, that the scene is like a different place now.
Well, because I thought, when I started, I thought, oh, this must happen every 6 months. Like every time there's a Second City class, we get a new fresh batch of comedians. Like I didn't know it was abnormal at the time because we were in it and we were just starting. But now being in the scene, there's new comedians, but like there's not so many. I feel like so many of us just came in all at one time. I thought that was going to be the norm, but I don't think it was.
Yeah, that's an interesting sort of phenomenon.
Yeah, like at the time we started, there was all those like fresh comic shows. I don't even, maybe they do happen, but I don't even see those anymore. And I wouldn't even know how they could fill a whole lineup.
I think there's something with the pandemic. Like I think a lot of people left because of it. And then it's almost like if you opened a new university, like you're going to get all these people. I don't know.
You're right. It probably is connected to the pandemic. Because the pandemic, you kind of, like, I think it made you follow your dreams more.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, because if I think about it, I started doing improv. Like I went to a Second City improv class because I was coming out of the pandemic and I needed to get used to leaving my house again and like being normal, and I thought that would help. And then that led to my sketch comedy writing class, which led to this stand-up class, which is how I got in. Yeah. So, yeah.
Do you think you would do more sketch comedy?
Yes. Like I'd like to produce a web series like using people I'm meeting through stand-up, but then I'm like, well, maybe I should do some more sketch stuff so I can meet more people through that, or just hone my own skills for writing.
Yeah. Broad City started as a web series.
Yes.
Yeah, and they were comedians as well.
Okay, that's another property that I'm like wildly obsessed with.
I love Broad City. I think we're the same person and we have the same interests and the same thoughts.
It's amazing.
I love Broad City. I'm obsessed with Broad City. I think it's the greatest thing that's ever existed.
There's like an ethos that goes with that's hard to explain, but like when I watch it, I'm just like, these are the best people. Yeah. And they're like, they show their flaws similar to like Girls, but it's a different set of flaws, and it's like it's a very fun show to watch.
Yeah. I think I'm noticing a theme. Like I think I just like to see girls like me struggling in the big city who have a couple of friends. I love that. I'm excited too because you know Rachel Sennett?
Yes.
Yeah. She's like the next It Girl. Like she is starting a show very like Lena Dunham-esque. I think it is also on HBO, and it's about like a group of friends. Like it's the same. It's just I feel like it's not the same, but like the next generation.
Yeah. So she's the one who did Shiva Baby, right? And then, do you know who else is in her show?
No, they released the cast. No one that really stuck out to me. Like, it's not her typical group of like AO and Molly Gordon.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I still feel like this is going to be amazing.
Oh, I'm so excited. Because I love a good trope. People love to be like, oh, you're just watching the same thing over and over. Like, why do we need the same rom-com with the same trope of like, she was ugly and now she's not? But I I'm gonna eat it up every time. I just love it.
Yeah, we need it again because we love it. The one thing I feel is like sometimes I talk to reality TV show people and then they're like, oh, you're a snob because you don't watch reality shows. And I'm like, I'm watching a better version of it because instead of just like watching people be shite, it's like there's an interlayer of somebody who understands the comedy and the drama and makes it happen in like the best way possible.
Yeah.
So like when you describe the Kardashians show, I'm like, that sounds hilarious, but I want to see it written. I don't want to see a bunch of people like being themselves and not make me laugh.
Yeah, yeah. I actually still am a big reality TV show fan, but not in the Kardashian way. Like I love an MTV trash way.
So what would be an example?
Like I love Are You the One? I love The Challenge.
Oh.
Especially The Challenge. I think it's the greatest show on TV.
Wait, what's The Challenge?
Okay. I think it's the greatest show on TV. Essentially, it started like 20 years ago, and you have like the vets, like veterans, and the rookies. And so there are people who have been on this one reality show for 20 years and you know their whole lore, but essentially what it is it's a competition show, but it's like to a more extreme extent, like
what are they competing to do?
So they're competing for money, and also the accolade of being the challenge champ. But essentially, so it's a bunch of people, they enter the house and then they do challenges, but the challenges like are more athletic and like more extreme sport wise, like they're like walking a tightrope across like a very tall building.
So would this relate to say like The Amazing Race or Fear Factor?
Yeah, it's like that, except the challenge does a good job of also mixing in like the trash and the gossip of like we're in the same house and again Jessica hooked up with him again, like this kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, I kind of like it. I'm gonna try it out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just
because there have been brief moments that I've gotten really into like a reality property. So I watched the first season of Survivor and like bet on it with my friends. Weirdly, the Osbournes, I watched that all the way through, and
I watched a bit of that too.
Fuck, I forget.
Did
you ever watch Meet the Barkers?
No, I thought you were gonna say Gene Simmons' Family Jewels. I love that show.
Oh my god.
Yeah, just because it was on TV, I wasn't like. Yeah. I wouldn't binge it now.
You weren't like a huge Kiss fan?
No. Probably before my time. I think just enough. But like honestly, I'm just a glutton for content. I'll just watch anything and everything. If you name a show, which you have, I've watched it.
Nice. I think it matters if there's a zany character in it. Like the Osbournes was reality trash, but it also had like Ozzy Osbourne is like a legitimate character.
Yeah.
And like his wife is a full character as well.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I just love the voice. Sharon.
And he somehow embodied like everyone's dad trying to like figure out the technology in the house.
He is the ultimate dad.
But like a funnier version because he had like fried his brain being a rock star.
But don't all dads just want to be a rock star? My dad very much wanted to be a rock star.
That's amazing. What did he end up doing instead?
Oh, like Canada Revenue Agency. Like
oh my god.
Yeah, like tax collector. But they all want to be rock stars, and technically so do we, because we're comedians.
Yeah. Dave Luca has this whole joke about how like the best comedian is still worse than the worst musician.
Oh yeah.
Because music being like this powerful universal language that everyone loves, and then like just how far away comedy like you can succeed to like Seinfeld level, but you'll still be less than like some guy playing his guitar on the corner.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good premise. I like that bit. No, I was watching a podcast with Ayo Edebiri or whatever from The Bear. Yeah. And she was saying that her and her friend have a joke that a stand-up comedian, like all stand-up comedians want to be musicians and all musicians want to be stand-up comedians.
Do musicians want to be stand-up comedians?
I don't know. I don't know how true that is, but because basically they were saying that a musician gets to be like vulnerable and honest, whereas like a stand-up comedy gets to just be the fool and like make you laugh, and like they kind of want what the other one has.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I don't know how much I buy into it, but I have had the thought, like, sometimes I'll listen to a song that, like, just perfectly encapsulates how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I wish I had the ability to get this out of me, like how they just did.
Yeah, I could never express anything the way a song could.
And it must be so freeing. To, like, you express that feeling, but you felt it, and now it's gone.
But maybe it isn't, because a lot of musicians are not well people.
Good point.
I think the thing is to have people hear your song and connect to it.
Yeah.
And, like, the power of, like, singing your song in front of a crowd and the crowd starts singing it back to you and you'd be like, oh my God.
Yeah, actually very similar to comedy, I think. And anytime, because every once in a while, like my sister, she came home the other day and she was like, I said one of your jokes and it killed. And I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah. And I think, like, people will comment after a show like, oh, you did good, but if someone, like, tells you that they related to it, that to me is, like, the deepest thing.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, yeah, man, like.
Yeah. Like another time someone was like, I have a joke and in it I say many moons ago. It's not even anything, but someone said it just in a random sentence after they had seen my set, and I was like, oh my God, they're singing my song. I love it.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that too. Okay, so I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. So can people check you out on socials?
Yes. Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Karlie Laverty. Come to my shows. Would love that. Put me on your shows. Would love that even more. Thanks for having me.
And please check out my coming show. It's every fourth Monday at Backroom Comedy Club. It's called Funny Bitches with Karen Mitches. So the inaugural show will be Monday, July 22nd. Thanks for watching.